This is Monocle on Design, a show where we discuss everything from architecture and craft to furniture and graphic design. I'm Nick Manise. On today's program, we celebrate the 5th annual Monocle Design Awards, published in Monocle magazine's May issue. In the studio, we'll discuss highlights from this year's edition, and we'll hear from some of the prize winners too, including architect Manuel Cervantes and designer Eva-Marie Eriksson. All that coming up on Monocle on Design. Hello and welcome to today's Monocle Design Awards special. I'm joined in the studio by Monocle's Associate Editor, Grace Charlton. Grace, welcome. It feels like it's been ages since we've had you on Monocle on Design.
Yeah. How's it going? How are you?
Life's good. We've come off the back of a very, very busy period. Our listeners would have heard, all our coverage from Salone del Mobile. We're rolling into May, which is Monocle Design Awards month. Which we've picked our top 50 for 2025. Then they're now in the current May issue of Monocle magazine. You helped co-edit it. 5th annual awards. We cover everything from architecture, furniture, graphic design, people, leadership, landscape architecture, the full spectrum of things. We've got 27 countries featured in this year's awards from all 6 continents. There are 50 categories, each of them kind of unique. They kind of evolve and develop year on year based on kind of what we see, because we tap into our correspondent network. We also tap into your brain, your insights, things that you've seen when you've been on the road. It's an editorial list, really, that we kind of pull together, and it's kind of our benchmarking project. I want to ask you, it's Monocle's take on what good design is. What does good design mean to Monocle's Associate Editor, Grace Charlton?
I was thinking about this earlier today, and obviously as we were putting the list together, which is, for listeners, a year-long process, squirreling away what we think is really impressive on a separate spreadsheet and try and have it in the bank and ready to go for May. But for me, what is good design is hard to describe because it's more of a visceral feeling. I think at Monocle specifically, it's also very uncluttered. It's very clear-cut in terms of the vision. It needs to be functional, gorgeous, material first, probably. I'd say that as well. What do you think?
Gorgeous is a great word for this, because I think we talk a lot about function. Obviously, that's kind of essential. If it's chairs not comfortable or you can't sit in it for an extended period of time, then it's not going to work. But I think equally we place some importance, or a lot of importance, on beauty. And I think you're currently putting together a home. You've got a new flat. You're furnishing it. You want things that you want to come home to, that you want to feel good around. There's a little bit of that, and this is why I'm curious for your eye on things. What does beauty mean to you? Perhaps you can pick out a product that is particularly beautiful in the top 50. So use that as an explanation point.
Well, as you mentioned, I am putting together a home at the moment, and one of the products in the top 50 is in my home. So it's a genuine stamp of approval from me. It's the Monocle Easy Chair by IKEA. It's democratic in terms of its price point and accessibility. It's just really gorgeous. It's a reissue from the 70s. Simple chrome bars with a bit of canvas on it. You can fold it away, bring it out for sunny days on the deck or dinner parties. And that really does embody what I think is a really good piece of design.
Because it's kind of ticking all these boxes. You've got this flexibility with it as well, which I think is quite nice. A beautiful, beautiful product. Has it been used yet, can I ask?
Oh, yeah, heaps.
Yeah,
heaps.
Paint the picture for our listeners. Take us inside your home.
Sorry, I feel like you're inviting yourself over for a dinner party, which will happen at some point. I'm not going to confirm when. It's been used at dinner parties when there are a few more guests who come along, maybe unexpected at the last minute. I've rolled it out, put it out on the deck on a sunny day so I can just sunbathe a little bit while I'm reading a magazine. I'm looking forward to using it even more, and otherwise it just sits in my lounge room.
And then tell me a little bit about the materiality of it. It's kind of got chrome legs.
Chrome. It's really nice to use. Like, it slides super easily. It's very satisfying. You just pick it up and it
because I think that's it as well. There's also an element of these want to be things that you want to play with, which I think is really, really nice. But tell us a little bit about maybe what good product means to you as well.
There's also the Concord cutlery set by Christofle, which is a gorgeous heritage French silverware brand. And it's something that you can have. It's quite luxurious, but you would be in contact with it on a daily basis. So I think that's really fun.
There's something to be said about, I come from a family where we had our good cutlery set that we kind of reserve for special occasions. But I think there's something nice about coming in. Like, why save it? Why not just be surrounded by good design all the time? I think that's perhaps culturally there's a tendency to maybe reserve things or save things for special occasions. I think there's also something to be said about using quality all the time, and I think that's also what these awards kind of look at. I want to go from I guess the details to the big picture, because we really do kind of cover everything from the spoon to the city at Monocle. I'm going to go slightly bigger in scale. I want to talk good architecture, and we're going to go to a project in particular. But I mean, at a base level, what are you looking for in an architectural work?
I think something I haven't seen before, something that stands out, not in terms of novelty for novelty's sake, but just something that's unexpected. So there's the Gallery of the Kings, which is located in Turin. It's a gorgeous museum layout. And it's kind of futuristic, which is weird because mummies and ancient Egyptian relics. That was so unexpected, and I saw it and I just thought, wow, this needs to go in the design awards.
The unexpected word is absolutely perfect as well. And when I'm also assessing architecture, and we've got a host of different winners across architecture and interiors, when I'm looking for it, I'm looking for something that's going to give me a moment of wow, the unexpected, the remarkable. Again, and this comes back to bringing wonder and amazement into our everyday, which is what we're trying to do with these awards. I want moments where I walk into a building and, you know, without sounding cheesy, it kind of takes my breath away. I mean, we've got another project in there called Raj Sabhugra, which is this amazing Jain meditation centre. And you look at this architecture, and when you walk in, it's going to completely change how you feel. And it's a meditation temple. As you kind of move up through the structure, you go from very, very communal, large spaces, which I guess encourage a little bit of conversation, to smaller, more intimate spaces. And it's fascinating how, as people, we can respond to these things. As you move up through the building, you want to become more and more silent and more contemplative. So I think that, yes, it's a wow moment, but it's also a reminder that architecture does shape how we live, how we feel. And I think it kind of also brings us on to some of the people that also make these worlds that we inhabit. I want to talk a little bit about Marva Griffin, Grace, because we picked her for a Lifetime Achievement Award. It was your suggestion. I had the pleasure of interviewing her, but tell us a little bit about the work that she does and why she's so significant.
She is just an icon in terms of the Milanese design landscape. She founded Salone Satellite over 25 years ago, which is a showcase that's part of the big Salone del Mobile trade fair that's dedicated to under 35-year-olds. And it's completely free for them to sign up and participate. And she curates a selection. She's just so passionate about championing emerging talent. So I feel like she needed a little recognition, and she's gorgeous and delightful to talk to, as you know.
100%. And I think it's also recognising that so many people play roles in building better worlds, as cheesy as that sounds. And that's what this is really about. We're going to hear from some of those people over the next 20 minutes of this show. We'll be right back after this.
For a celebration of all things print, tune in to The Stack, featuring expert analysis, the view of magazine veterans, and a look at what's flying off newsstands around the world.
This is very unique, to be able to buy a magazine and to find that many doors which you can open and that lead you into very different worlds.
Listen to The Stack and hear Fernando Augusto Pacheco in conversation with our favorite editors. The Stack airs every Saturday at 10 a.m. London time. Make it part of your must-listen lineup, live or on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now, this year's Design Awards have been made possible thanks to the support of Cupra and the recently launched Cupra Design House. It's a new division of the Barcelona-based car company that has been supporting and pushing design beyond the automotive industry. I spoke with Jorge Diaz, Chief Design Officer at Cupra Design House, about the importance of looking beyond their own engineering.
I think the classic automotive brand, they focus only on the cars. And for us, we always want to go beyond, no? And this is why one of the points to creating as well the Cupra Design House is to create as well inspiration from different fields. Somehow we make collaboration as well with artists, with designers, with painting, so we can open the field so much. For us, it's very important that in a creative world, you explore different territories. You need to take more risk. And to take more risk, you need to pass the limits. You need to go beyond. And for us, the inspiration that we can get from furniture design, fashion, even perfume design, food design, they are amazing as well in Barcelona. I think this inspiration of colors, of textures as well. we apply as well in our design. I think it's a endless, not inspiration point. Design is like an expression of yourself, okay? It's an extension. I mean, we don't believe that it's something separate. For us, it's our way of life, it's how we think. Sometimes you can see an object, but as a designer, we don't see only the object, we see the shadow of the ocean, the reflection. Everything we feel is designed around us. But as I say, it's kind of an expression of yourself, no? So it's represent to you sometimes, can represent even your mindset, your attitude, no? And even in the automobile industry, I think it's closer to fashion, no? That you have wearing something and then this represent your character somehow. And it's important as well in Cupra, we love to drive. So it's not like going from A to B, it's like enjoying every moment. The life is short, better to enjoy and to have this emotion. This is why every minute we are here in this planet, I think we need to boost the emotion, believe it more. Some people see cars like metal and glass. We see actually like another human somehow. Coming from Barcelona, having this inspiration from Barcelona is amazing, no? And I think it's very important when you put the culture of the country into the product as well, you create as well very authentic way. For example, when you go to Barcelona, sometimes you go to the bars that are extremely noisy, no? We are very expressive, we kiss each other. And then you can see these relations as well in the car that they're a bit more expressive, they are more emotional, no? So this link actually is connected as well with the culture we have. Cupra, I would say that this is about provoking, a very strong connection with emotions. We say design follow emotion. Because in the end, in life, what is the most important is the emotion that you feel every day, how you act, how you are. And this is a key element of the Cupra philosophy.
My thanks to Jorge Diaz there. Now, it's over to the first of our medallists that you'll hear from today. We're crossing over to Helsinki to visit an event space that received a Monocle Design Award for Best Hospitality Fit-Out. The project in question is Finlandia Hall, a conference centre from the 1970s. Despite being designed by the famed architect Alvar Aalto, residents had long felt disconnected from the structure. Enter Finnish design studio Fira, which played a key role in opening it up to the public. They were involved in a large-scale renovation, creating a new bistro featuring Aalto chairs and lighting, complemented by marble tables and an oak bar. There's also a retail space that they worked on, and the result is breathtaking, a benchmark for both sensitive renovation and hospitable design. Monocle's Helsinki correspondent Petri Bertsov caught up with Fira's co-founder Eva-Marie Eriksson to learn more about the firm's design philosophy.
What we want to focus is on having this somehow a life-centric approach to our projects, meaning that the human being is in center, but it's everything from the end user, for example, the client, to also in hospitality design, it's always also the housekeeping, and it's a lot of different groups of people you have to take in consideration. What we like to call ourselves is like thinkers of built spaces. And all our projects are always also based on the architecture and the building itself, so that it's somehow the outcome is very integrated to the space. Because for us, it's always that what's make it very natural and very authentic. And that's, I think, something that we have in all of our projects.
Actually, speaking of hospitality, that segues nicely into the Finlandia Hall restoration project, for which Monocle gave you this award. This was part of a bigger, comprehensive 3-year renovation of this place, Finlandia Hall, an Alvar Aalto landmark in the center of Helsinki. And Fira was tasked with creating a restaurant, a cafe, and a visitor shop to this iconic building. What was it like? I mean, given that this is such an iconic building, an Aalto building, Aalto known internationally, probably one of the most famous Finns abroad, and then an architect and a designer. What was it like for Finnish designers, such as you guys at Fira, to work on an Aalto building?
Terrifying. No, just kidding. Well, it's of course it's a big privilege to be working on an Aalto building. This is not the first time we have been working on an Aalto building or a listed building or a heritage building. So we kind of knew what it was or what to expect. But it's always like, if you think about Finlandia, that's something that everyone in Finland also knows. It's a very iconic building, and it comes with a very big responsibility. Of course, that everything we do, it needs to be something that lasts for the next centuries. It's kind of a delicate process that there's a lot of stakeholders and we are in the middle. So we need to listen carefully to everyone and everything and then try and create something that then we are also proud of and can stand behind.
When I think about the Finlandia Hall, and I'm sure many other people from Helsinki would agree, that historically it's not exactly a place where locals would go and spend time. It has a reputation of being a sort of an architectural landmark, but also a conference center. And when you create a restaurant, a cafe, a visitor shop, the whole point is to attract people to go and spend time there. How much of a challenge was that?
It was a challenge because we brought some new services, just this as you mentioned. But this was also the fact that made it very inspiring because it's now opened for the public and it was known for this exact like the architectural landmark and everything. But now it's actually open to public and that's what made it really, really inspiring. And also challenging, of course, in a way, because we are talking about the listed building. So you are not, you can't touch the surfaces and you need to like design everything and still leave all the surfaces like untouched and so on. So it was quite of a challenge. And also because it's this event space, the fact that you need to create something like a cozy, very lovely, dark restaurant there is not something that really comes very easily.
When I visited the space, there's a lot of quite round, curvy shapes and earthy tones and soft, very sort of mood lighting style, natural materials, leather, suede and things like that. What role do they play in creating an inviting, especially dinner setting?
Crucial role because it's of course not just the lighting, but it's also the acoustics that it needs to be soft. It's I would say also that the design language, if you look at the fixed furniture and everything we designed there, it's also something that we try to somehow be inspired of the building or from the architecture, because we didn't want to copy, of course, anything. We are not Aalto and it was quite important that the fixed furniture, for example, they need to fit the space, but somehow also look like that Aalto didn't do them. And of course, because we are not Aalto, so I think it worked out quite well. But the shapes, like having a bit of softness and roundness, and this brings somehow, or it's a part of the ambience, it's a part of the whole atmosphere.
You said that you wanted to respect and follow Aalto's original design language, but still make the building, make your spaces look like they were not designed by Aalto, because otherwise that would be quite boring. What was it about his designs that were so timeless in a way?
And I would say he's quite contemporary still, because they are timeless. They are very much timeless. I think one of the biggest keys is that it's the human scale. When you look at the Aalto architecture, well, it's the human scale. It's like the attention also to details in the interior that really matters, and it's just not the building, but it comes to the details also on the inside, and of course also the materials and everything. It makes it very easy to approach.
Eva-Marie Eriksson in conversation with Monocle's Helsinki correspondent Petri Bertsoff. Finally on today's program, we hear from another prize winner, Manuel Cervantes. The Mexico City-based architect's home and studio are side by side, reflecting his deep commitment to his practice and showing that Manuel's willing to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. We selected him as our Residential Architect of the Year, not just because of his breathtaking architectural output, but because Manuel's approach places end users at the centre of any work. Manuel joined me in the studio to discuss why film production is a source of inspiration, but first he explained why understanding his clients' rituals is often more enlightening than asking for their list of wants.
When we do a house for a client, we ask them for a diary. We don't ask them for what they want. In this diary, we try to push them to be very introspective and to really describe to us what they will use and how they will use it. So that's why every house for us, it's completely different without following certain style. It's more like a movie. I asked my clients for this diary because I believe that to do a house for on a specific person, couple, or family. It's important to design from their world and not our design world. I just ask them to describe rituals, habits, how they imagine or they use the spaces, because every family is completely different. People in England or maybe in Dubai or in Mexico, they have very different ways of living. In this diary, again, it's not about what do you want, it's about what do you need from your daily basis life. And that also, it's more practical, no? Because sometimes design in houses, it's difficult when you ask a client on what he wants. Normally, they started, let's say, like thinking on other spaces that they saw in a magazine or they visited, and later through the process, they changed their mind. But through this diary, it has been more practical and easy for them to have these personal conversations and sometimes discussions before I started designing. It's in a way this practical way of putting in the table the reality of what they want, they need, and they can afford also. It's also the way to present to them something very specific for them.
It sounds like your approach is kind of about stripping away trendiness. It's distilling it down to function and what people actually will want from an architect.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, let's say, to avoid the speculation and bring to the scene reality.
Does it give that sort of architecture a longevity that you might not get if you were chasing something that you've seen elsewhere?
Trends are temporary, no? And I believe that architecture at some point needs to be not permanent, but a little bit more than temporary. I try to avoid that kind of trendy conversations or stuff that it's ephemeral. I try to think more on the impact of the house on a site, on a place, on the culture, on the neighborhood.
You mentioned something earlier, you don't have a signature style or trademark. Is this coming from tackling projects with this diary approach, so you're not bringing your own preconceptions to a project?
Yes. At the office, it's more about a philosophy on how to do things instead of how to design things. Let's say that it's a philosophy on how to create conversations and how the result of the design, it's about the conversations that you can have with the site, with culture, with a group of people or a family, and a conversation with the present time, with budget, with social issues. Let's say that the aesthetic or the final result of the architecture, it's about those specific conversations. And those conversations are constantly changing because, again, you don't have the same conversation with a client willing to do a museum in Mexico City than a family willing to do a house in Southampton, England. It's completely different. The philosophy, it's the same. The result in terms of how it looks will be different, but the essence and the conversations can be a little bit of the same. That's what we repeat, the system, the strategy of conversations, and that allows us to not only to change the aesthetic, but it's the result of where are you working in or who are you working with. That's the aesthetic. The empathy that you can find with a place, with a culture, with a heritage, and with a person. Sometimes we change dramatically the color of our projects. And again, it's not because we want to explore new colors or we are pursuing new colors. It's because of the reaction to the people that we're working with and in the places that we're working.
We've started by talking about residential architecture, and you're our residential architect of the year, but your practice spans the whole gamut of the discipline. You're working on a wellness centre in Dubai, retail in Paris. Are you making diaries with these other clients, or is it more about the conversation?
This diary and the conversations are with people. Projects are the result of conversations with people. I'm interested in the people that I'm working with because that's the final goal of what we do. No, we don't do buildings for photographs or for magazines or for eternity. We do buildings for people. It doesn't matter if you're doing a social housing project or a subway station or a house or even a museum. It's about how do you start and how do you create interesting conversations.
Yeah, that means that everything's kind of distinct and unique. How do you feel when you see an architecture studio that seems to roll out the same design over and over and over again? Does it bother you?
No, I don't have any complaints. Not only architecture, no, when creators, designers, they repeat themselves, they are repeating success. And that's pretty common. But at some point, by doing that, you're destroying your capacity to innovate or your capacity to adapt. And especially in architecture, resilience and adaptation, it's very, very important. As an architect, you're dealing and working with economical crisis, natural disasters. I think that repetition on a successful design or aesthetic, it doesn't bother me, but I think that it's not a good strategy. No, as an office or as a designer, I think that you need to adapt to different circumstances, different moments. Tarkovsky was always saying that art needs to be very aware of the present time. He was saying as a filmmaker, it's about understanding the means that you have and the present that you're living in order to, let's say, express what is happening right now. Architecture, it's a little bit also about that.
You mentioned the film director Tarkovsky there, and I know you're a bit of a film buff, but where do you see parallels between film and architecture? Is it about drawing inspiration from the filmmaker's approach or more about the films themselves?
Filmmaking and architecture, in a way, it's very similar. The result and the means are completely different, but the film director and architect are let's say, working on the same court. No, you're working with a lot of people, with a lot of economical aspects and the speculation part of the business. And in a way, you are gathering this group and all these ideas. I love movies. I enjoy them. And I see a lot of inspiration on the way filmmakers do things. The process, I think that it's very, very inspiring as an architect, know how they deal with budget, time, clients. I'm reading right now a lot of cinema books, and I was reading how Christopher Nolan needs to deal with budgets to Warner Brothers and all these huge companies. That's kind of the world of the architect, because we don't build things with our own means. We are helping speculators spend resources.
I mean, I guess they're both about world building in a way, pulling resources together to create a new environment, a new experience for people. I want to kind of leave on a fun question, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, but what are 3 filmmakers that our design-loving audience should check out?
Probably Kubrick is like this continuous inspiration fountain. In the present, I love the work of the Mexican directors, Cuarón, Iñárritu, and Guillermo del Toro. Right now, I'm fascinated by Sorrentino, this amazing Italian writer and filmmaker. I love the process of production, the process on thinking. I love to understand not only on filmmakers, also on musicians, the way they explore and the things that they read. In some way, I also believe that it's very important to step out of your professional work to avoid this repetition on the books that you need to read, on the things that you need to see, on the people that you need to talk with. It's about exploring other parts of humanity to get inspiration. Right now, I prefer to read about philosophy and other arts instead of repeating the pattern of reading architecture. I think that with time, it becomes like a mantra. You're repeating the same idea all over and over, and by exploring other processes with other kind of creators, it's refreshing.
My thanks to Manuel Cervantes there. And that's all for today's show. For more design stories, listen to our 5-minute midweek bonus show, Monocle on Design Extra, which airs on Thursdays. And if you enjoy print and want a full list of the Monocle Design Awards 50 winners, then do pick up a copy of the May issue of the magazine. It's on all good newsstands now and at monocle.com/shop. Today's episode was produced and edited by Maylee Evans. I'm Nick Manise, and you can reach me on nm@monocle.com. Thanks for listening.